While exploring the Arctic, the scientists found a block of ice that had been frozen for 40,000 years. After cutting it open, they made the shocking discovery that the creature inside was still alive. Members of a scientific expedition are conducting excavations in the Arctic. Inside one of the caves, they stumble upon something unusual frozen in the ice. The team carefully cuts out the block of ice and transports it by helicopter over the snowy mountains to a research laboratory. The scientists send a fax to their superiors. They ask for the drilling in the area to stop and request a specialist to examine the creature trapped in the ice. Dr. Stanley Shepard, an anthropologist conducting research on Eskimo history and culture in the Arctic, is assigned to investigate. Because Dr. Shepard frequently arrives late to meetings with local natives, his colleagues often mock him and don't take his work seriously. Upon arriving at the lab, Dr. Shepard is greeted by Diane Brady and a group of other scientists who inform him of the prehistoric find. Initially, the team believes they have discovered a bear or some other ancient creature. They recall how Russian researchers recently found a mammoth in the ice, with cells that remained quite viable. The scientists hope their creature is similarly well preserved and plan to extract living cells for further study. The researchers use a laser to carefully cut through the ice, layer by layer. Soon, they realize the creature isn't an animal, but a Neanderthal man. After examining the body, Shepard concludes that the man may have been a hunter who lived between 20,000 and 40,000 years ago. Shepard expresses interest in studying the find more closely, but Dr. Brady and the other scientists intend to cut the Neanderthal into pieces for research in global labs. Shepard suggests they re-examine the discovery site, as they might find an entire tribe frozen in the ice. However, the potential search area covers thousands of miles, so his proposal is rejected. The Neanderthal is thawed, stripped of his clothing, and prepped for tissue analysis. The team gives him a blood transfusion and monitors his brain activity. During testing, the scientists are surprised to find all of the Neanderthal's living cells in perfect condition. Dr. Brady hypothesizes that the ancient man's body may contain cryoprotectants that protected him from freezing damage. The researchers continue their studies and soon notice faint brainwave activity. They decide to attempt to revive him, administering calcium, adrenaline, and using a defibrillator. To their astonishment, the Neanderthal's heart starts beating, and the team realizes they've made a groundbreaking discovery that will soon captivate the world. The Iceman awakens on the operating table, surrounded by masked scientists. Confused and scared, he panics and resists the sedatives they try to inject. Only Shepard has the courage and empathy to remove his mask and show the caveman his bearded face, helping the Neanderthal relax and fall into a peaceful sleep. Later, the scientists gather to discuss the Neanderthal's future. They foresee a Nobel Prize for their work and even envision using the Neanderthal's biology to freeze cancer patients for future treatment. Shepard, however, opposes the idea of pursuing immortality and believes that humanity should not interfere with the natural life cycle. The team agrees to keep the discovery secret from the media to avoid turning the Neanderthal into a spectacle. Shepard suggests that instead of treating the caveman like a lab specimen, they should study him in a more natural environment to learn about prehistoric life. He negotiates for 2 weeks to conduct his own research. The scientists create a special vivarium filled with plants and animals where the Iceman can live and demonstrate his survival skills. Upon awakening in this familiar environment, the Neanderthal quickly adapts, finding berries, starting a fire, and hunting wild boar. One day, while fishing, the caveman encounters a hose in the water and pulls it out. Discovering it leads to a hidden metal door. Breaking through the door, he finds laboratory assistants and caged animals. Enraged by what he sees, the Neanderthal begins screaming and tries to break down the walls. The situation escalates, and the scientists are forced to sedate him with a tranquilizer dart. Shepard reminds the scientists of their agreement to let him study the Iceman undisturbed for 2 weeks. Dr. Brady suggests they take advantage of the Neanderthal's sedation to continue their tests, but Shepard shows her a videotape of various indigenous tribes performing seemingly impossible physical feats, such as walking on fire. He believes these tribes hold clues about the human body's adaptability. Shepard convinces Brady to let him continue his research and try to communicate with the Neanderthal. Shepard bravely enters the Iceman's enclosure without any weapons or protective gear. Though the caveman initially tries to scare him away, Shepard persists, and eventually, the Neanderthal's curiosity wins out. The two men cautiously approach each other, and after some examination, the Neanderthal introduces himself as Charyu, which Shepard shortens to Charlie. They exchange names, and the Neanderthal mimics the sound of Shepard's name, showing he remembers it. Shepard notices scars on Charlie's chest, arranged in a pattern resembling a large bird. Charlie attempts to communicate through gestures and sounds, but Shepard struggles to understand. The team brings in a linguist to help decipher Charlie's speech. They record Shepard's interactions with the caveman, which the linguist analyzes for patterns. Charlie and Shepard begin exchanging names for objects, such as stones, frogs, and buttons. One evening, Shepard hums a song while tapping wood against a stone. Charlie enjoys the melody and joins in, creating a bond through music. Meanwhile, the scientists conduct experiments on Charlie, trying to isolate the cryoprotectant in his blood. But the tests nearly kill the caveman. Angry and distrustful, Charlie confronts Shepard, asking him to end his suffering, but Shepard refuses. Shepard later convinces Dr. Brady to interact with Charlie, believing contact with a woman will help the Neanderthal reveal new aspects of his personality. Reluctantly, Brady agrees and enters Charlie's enclosure with Shepard. Charlie examines her with interest. Confused, Charlie offers to trade a shiny object for Brady, but Shepard refuses. During their next meeting, Charlie is in good spirits and draws a picture of a woman and 2 children. He excitedly talks about them in his own language, leading the scientists to realize he is speaking about his family. Shortly after, a helicopter flies over the vivarium's transparent roof, thrilling Charlie, who climbs the rocks, trying to catch the miracle bird. Shepard learns from the Eskimos about an ancient legend of a divine bird that carries people to heaven. He theorizes that Charlie, in the past, sacrificed himself to this bird to save his tribe from a disaster. Charlie, now convinced the helicopter is the divine bird, becomes obsessed with fulfilling his mission. Charlie stops communicating with Shepard and spends days trying to enter a trance. He prepares offerings for the deity, but the scientists are unsure how to help him. One night, Charlie manages to unlock the lab door and wanders the corridors in search of an exit. Startled by modern objects like mirrors, photocopiers, and elevators, he panics and kills a scientist with a spear. A helicopter arrives to take Charlie back to the laboratory, but he sees it as the divine bird and tries to reach it. Shepard, realizing what Charlie is attempting, tries to stop him. Despite Shepard's efforts, Charlie leaps onto the helicopter, believing he has found the deity. He lets go, smiling as he falls, finally at peace with his sacrifice. If you enjoy it, click and subscribe and watch the next video.